Okay, boys and girls, today we're going to work on this lesson, and it's percents. So now we're going to learn how to model percents. We're going to model them. We are going to convert them as a percent, as a decimal, and as a fraction. And so we've already practiced a couple of these. Okay, now so we're going to look at this problem that says, the Chula Vista Fruit Farm consists of 100 acres. 100 acres is the size of land. So you can have land 1 acre, 2 acres, 3 acres, 4 acres, but this is 100 acres. So this ends up looking like this. And so here is the 100 acres right here, on which 3 different types of fruits. So they have oranges, apples, and pears. So this farm has oranges, apples, and pears. On 25 acres, on 25 of the acres, the farm grows apples. The oranges grow on 30% of the farm, and the remainder of the farm grows pears. Okay, so this is all the information we need to know. It says, shade in the grid below to represent the portion of the farm each fruit type occupies. Use different colors for each type of fruit. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use blue for apples, I'm going to use yellow for oranges, and I'm going to use pink for pears. And so this is what I have. Okay, and so now I'm going to go, and it says that there are 25 for apples, there are 30% for oranges, and then we don't know for pears. Now, what does this mean? This means 25 out of 100. This 30% means 30 out of 100. And this pear means we don't know out of 100. So I'm going to start with shading in 25. So I'm going to start here, I'm going to shade in. There's 10, and I'm going to shade in 20. There's 20, and then I'm going to shade in 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So this right here would represent 25 acres, which is apples. Now I have 30% for oranges. So here's 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, here's 5. Here's 10. So this is 15 total. Here's 25. And it's 30. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And so now I represented 30, which is oranges. And the rest is going to be pears. The rest of this is going to be pears. I'm going to shade in all the pears, and I have to figure out now how many do I have for pears. Well, for pears, I'm going to have 10, 20, 30, 40, 41, 42, 43, 44, and 45. So I have 45 acres for pears. So instead of the question mark, I would have 45. 45 out of 100. So now let's look at this. Per. What does the word per mean? And where have we seen this before? I've seen it in grocery stores. I've seen it per pound, per gallon. Those are the types of things. What does per mean? Per means for every. That's the word, what per means, for every. Where have you seen the word cent for before? Cent is 0.01 is when we have money, which is a penny. And we know that 100 pennies equals a whole dollar. One whole dollar. So percent means for every, or for 100. Okay, so it means for 100. What does the word percent mean? What does it mean? The word percent means for every 100. And how do ratios relate to percents? Well, 100 would be the whole amount when we're dealing with ratios. Okay? So now let's look at this example here. It says, how does this support our meaning of the word percent? Well, this is 100 frame, so it's a 100 frame. And so all we would need to do is count how many pieces in here are shaded. There's 1 piece, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. So that means there's 20, and there's 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, and 28. That means there's 28 shaded out of 100. So this would be 28% because since it's out of 100. Now this one over here, how does this diagram change your idea of a percent? This one's a little tricky because how many do I have shaded? I have 1, 2, 3, 4 shaded out of how many total? I have 10 total. So it would be 4 out of 10. Well, that's not a percent, but I could convert it to a percent. I could convert it by going like this. Okay, so then I would have times 10, and I would multiply times 10, and so this means it would equal 40 over 100, which is 40%. Okay, next problem. What percent does each square of the candy represent? Well, each square represents 1%. 1%, 2%, 3%, 4%, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10%. And we would keep going all the way to 100%. Okay, so each one represents 1%. What percent of the candy bar is remaining? So here's the remaining candy bar. Here's the remaining candy bar. I have 20 boxes remaining, 20 pieces of candy, so this would be 20%. Okay, and then what other ways can we represent this percent? We can represent it 20%. We could also represent it as 20 over 100, or we can represent it as a decimal, which is 20%. We get rid of this, we put our decimal, and we move it over 2 places, which would equal 0.20. Okay, now we're going to move on to our guided practice. And so we're going to check for our understanding. What this is here, you're going to answer question A in the box here, question B in this box, and question C in this box. And it's asking you to answer each as a decimal, a fraction, and as a percent. So we want to know how many are shaded. I'm going to do the first one for you. How many are shaded? We know that there's 20% shaded here, and there's 80% not shaded. Okay, so I'm going to put 20% shaded. I'm going to draw a line. I'm going to put 80% not shaded. Now it's asking us to make this a percent. So we have our percent. We want it as a fraction. So it's 20 over 100. And we want it as a decimal, which would be 0.20. Same thing here. 80 over 100. And as a decimal, 0.80. So we would do the same thing. This one has 3 different shaded colors. We have a dark one, we have a light one, and we have the white one. And then the last one has 2. It has 1 here and 2, so a dark and a light. I want you to figure out the percentages and shade them in. And then answer this question. What ratio is being modeled in each picture? There's a couple of different ratios for each picture being modeled. How are the ratios and percents related? You just are going to explain in writing. And then when we get to this one here, so it says collaborative practice. We're going to convert our percent into a decimal, into a fraction, into a ratio, and then into a model. So 6% would be 6%. We get rid of the percent sign. We move it 1 and 2. Remember our butt cheeks. So we put it 0.06. The fraction would be 6 over 100. The ratio is already done for you. And our model, I would have to draw a hundreds frame. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. And it's going to be a little tricky to do it, but 2, 3, 4. So just try your best when you're doing it. And you're going to shade in, I think I have 100 there, you're going to shade in 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Now for 60%, you're going to do the same thing. 60 in a decimal, 60, we have our percent, we get rid of our percent sign, put our decimal 1, 2, so it becomes 0.60. Fraction is 60 over 100. Ratio is 60 colon 100. And then our model could be a little different for this one. Our model, we could do this model here, or we could do this model. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So we could shade in 6 of them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. And so we would have 6 out of 10 shaded, which we know when we do it like this is times 10, this is times 10, which would equal 60. 25%. Here's 25%. I'm going to just do the model for you. You could do 25% like this. This is 25%, 50%, 75%, and 100%. And so you could shade in 1, which would be 1 over 4. And if we were to do it as a percent, 1 over 4, we multiply, it'd be 25. And we multiply, it'd be 25. So it'd be 25 over 100. And so you need to figure out the rest. Now, if I go down, this one's giving you the decimal. You need to figure out the percent. You need to figure out this, this, and this. 9, this is giving you 9 out of 10, the fraction. So if we had 9 out of 10, we would have to do it proportion. So we multiply by 10 and multiply by 10. So this would end up being 90%, 0.90, 90 out of 100. And then however you're going to do it. I would do it in simple, similar to that, and then shade in 90, just like this is kind of shaded in. Now, we have a couple of questions here. Mr. Rees, answer these questions. Go on to this Emmanuel question, and then complete your assignment. And when you're done, turn it into Mr. Morales.